Thanks, Rita. You're watching BBC Channel Islands. Hello, good evening and a very warm welcome to Thursday's programme. I'm Charlie. Good to have your company again. So first tonight, dozens of Jersey residents have returned to their homes after flats at Leggett were evacuated due to a gas leak yesterday. About 50 people spent the night in hotels, but the gas company, Island Energy, says its latest checks show no further traces of gas in the area. Stephen Herview reports on the impact it's had on residents.
It was around lunchtime yesterday that the leak was reported and residents were evacuated from this block. A fault was found in mains pipework outside the flats.
It took hours and hours. It was like 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock it happened.
Because I was out in town, I came over, there was no one at home, the roads were closed off. I just waited around, I had no news, I didn't know what was going on.
Island Energy says the evacuation was a precaution, and authorities say they tried to make it as easy as possible for the residents who were being asked to leave.
The honorary police were in place, so St Saviour Honorary Police, St Martin helping out and St Helier, so they all did very well.
Some residents stayed with friends and family, while others spent the night in an hotel. But this morning they were given the all clear to return home.
When I go out, 9:30, it's still police in here. Now I'm back, there's nothing.
OK, so you think it's all over?
Yes, I think so.
My friend's dad got evacuated and then he called me because I was out and then we couldn't come back home. We had to go to the hotel.
So you spent a night in the Radisson?
Yes, I did.
What was it like?
It was quite nice, actually. I miss being home, though.
Island Energy began a series of tests on every property connected to the mains network last year. But this leak is the latest in a series of incidents involving gas, which may leave some worried that it might not be the last. Stephen Herview, BBC Channel Islands News, Jersey.
There'll be no fast ferry sailings from Jersey to the UK until the middle of April, after Condor's contract expires at the end of March. DFDS has released its timetable for routes to and from the south coast, but says its high-speed vessel needs refurbishing before they use it. It expects to publish the schedule for St Malo next week, but offered no further details on the inter-island service. They say people will be able to book by the end of the month.
We can't create a schedule that will make everybody happy, but we try to make schedules that will make as many people happy as possible, if I can put it that way. There are some changes that we've put in, but we actually believe the connectivity that we've put in for the islands is going to be really good, and we're looking forward to providing those services.
Part of the St Helier Ring Road could remain closed until Easter after a sinkhole made nearby buildings unsafe. A stretch of Rouge Boyant between Clarendon Road and Palmyra Road was closed before Christmas. Today, the government said structural investigations are expected to take some time. Flights to and from Alderney resumed this afternoon after technical issues grounded Orini's Dornier aircraft on Tuesday. The airlines apologised to passengers and says its backup plane wasn't available due to routine maintenance. Now, it's safe to say that in small islands, large developments can be unpopular. So how do you balance the need of new housing with protecting the look and feel of a community? Well, a parish in Guernsey is now asking its residents what development they do want to see after criticism of state's plans for affordable housing in the area. They're now drawing up their own community plan, as Olivia Copeland has been finding out.
Housing projects can be controversial, but the parish of St Martin is trying to change that.
Many parishioners were very concerned by the fact that we would be having a lot of houses built on the periphery of the village centre with difficult access because we have a lot of very narrow lanes. We thought, well, why don't we put together a plan to say this is what we love about our parish and what are the proposals for developments in the future, rather than feel that the planners will just come along and say this is what's going to happen.
Parishioners are being urged to share what matters to them when it comes to new housing, and it seems affordability is one of the biggest priorities.
People downsizing are often looking for smaller, easily managed homes close to facilities so they can walk if they can't drive anymore. I mean, there has been quite a bit of building within the village centre, and some of the, we also need sort of family homes as well.
But finding homes of the right size isn't always easy.
I live in a 4-bedroomed house and we would like to move into a smaller house, but stay in St Martin's, and ideally, like a little cottage style place, not an apartment.
Smaller properties, 1 and 2 bedroom. So many people that I know, once they get to a certain age, can't use the upstairs, but they want to stay where they are. So I think, that would be a very good idea.
The Constable's Office wants to put everyone's views to planning authorities later this year, in the hope more islanders will be happy to call the parish home. Olivia Copeland, BBC Channel Islands News, Guernsey.
Meanwhile, Guernsey's government says it wants to meet with landowners and developers to understand why more housing developments aren't being built. Environment and Infrastructure says they want to help projects get started amid challenging period when the cost of labour and materials have increased significantly.
This is really about the states rolling up our sleeves, sitting down and having really practical conversations with landowners and developers to understand the specific barriers for those sites so that we can unlock them and make sure that Guernsey has got more homes that we very desperately need.
Thousands of pounds is needed to complete the refurbishment of the Bailiwicks Marine Ambulance. The Flying Christine is due to have work done in the Isle of Wight, but escalating costs means £20,000 in funding is still needed. The ambulance service has begun a fundraising appeal.
It's the clinical areas that need to just be upgraded slightly to meet infection prevention control measures. The outside, there is a few bits to be painted, etc. So it's those bits that don't affect necessarily the operation of the vessel, but actually it would be nice for 30 years of service for her to come back looking at her best again.
Now, next on our programme tonight, they say a week is a long time in politics, but what about a year? Well, this time last year was a particularly turbulent time in Jersey politics. Deputy Christina Moore was ousted as Chief Minister following a vote of no confidence in her leadership. Julie Flanagan reports on the impact of that decision 1 year on.
There are some strong personalities at play, some really reprehensible behaviours that we have all been struggling to deal with. I felt it was best to try to deal with those. Probably what I should have done was to sack the man a long time ago when we first experienced those issues.
It's a year since Deputy Christina Moore was ousted as Chief Minister, and despite the upheaval, the wheels of government have kept turning. The man who triggered the shake-up has no regrets.
I'd certainly reached a point where, for me, I was either going to resign or hold a vote of no confidence, because going into work was so miserable. The people around me were miserable, and I think the public had become quite miserable. I think there was a lot of disenchantment, and that was all the feedback I was getting from everybody.
And was that because of the direction government was going in? Or
not just the direction, but the way it was going about it. It became very plain. There wasn't the most pleasant of atmospheres, working atmospheres. When you get those tensions, you don't get the best out of people. Good people were contemplating leaving, and that sort of scenario has to be brought to an end. So in that regard, no, I have no regrets about it.
It was the first time in history that a vote of no confidence had succeeded, and while Deputy Moore declined to talk today, there are concerns that the move has halted government momentum.
One thing that is for sure is that by breaking that political cycle, he has made it so they have a lot less time than the 4 years that they should have been allowed to continue and to deliver the things that they were implementing.
Jersey's current government has just over a year left before voters go to the polls in 2026. The public will then decide if they have confidence in those involved in a no confidence vote. Julie Flanagan, BBC Channel Islands News, Jersey.
We'll have to wait and see. Now, a roundup of some of the other news tonight in brief. And a former doctor of Guernsey's medical specialist group is facing a tribunal in the UK over allegations of misconduct. Dr. Ali Shuk Amira is accused of failing to provide good clinical care to 6 patients during the period he spent working in the island. Jersey's infrastructure department wants to permanently close St John's Road to northbound traffic following a 6-month trial. They say more people have been using the route to walk or cycle into town. And engineers are in Sark today to inspect rockfall at La Coupe, which is currently closed. Experts are doing a drone inspection to come up with a repair plan, which is due to start next week. Got a question for you. How would you make the island you live in better for young people? Well, you may well start by getting some ideas from youngsters themselves, and that was the thinking behind a meeting in Jersey yesterday. Our communities reporter Chris Craddock went along to hear their views.
Is there any possibility that we could get more of them?
Making their voices heard. The School Council Network is made up of young people put forward by their schools to share their thoughts on making Jersey better.
It's great that we're being able to get hot foods into school, and making it affordable is another goal.
Obviously everyone says there's not as many facilities for older, teenage, children. Obviously New Millennium Park, trying to update it would be really good for my sort of aged community.
And politicians and policymakers left the meeting with some homework to do.
We want to open a dialogue about post-16 education in long term into the future, and one of the first things we're going to do is to set up some might be called focus groups within schools.
We want to keep our school and our island clean.
Speaking out isn't always easy, but many young islanders know how important it can be.
People with speech impediments, people with stutters, they don't deserve to be shut down, and our voices matter just because they aren't the typical voice that you usually hear. That's why we need to be heard. People make fun of it, which is something that I've had to deal with for my whole life, and I want to be the voice of people that don't feel like they can speak up.
Children like Lexi will continue to have their say with the School Council Network, and it's hoped Jersey's government can make the grade in its efforts to improve the island for young people. Chris Craddock, BBC Channel Islands News, Jersey.
Yes, some great ideas there. Well, I've got to say, it's nice to see that more of you are now joining the BBC Weather Watchers, which means you've got a chance of being our BBC Weather Watchers Star of the Day. So who is today's star? Let's find out. Tom, can you press that button for me? Wow, look at this picture. Lily took this, of course, of St Juan's Bay. Great contrast there with the sea crashing over the seawall there, and you've got the White House in the background. Let's get the details on the weather now. David is here with the forecast. David, I've got to say, a nice bit of sunshine. I even sat out for 5 minutes with my cup of coffee this morning.
It was nice, Charlie. Actually, good evening. Probably better than I forecast yesterday with the mist and the low cloud clearing quite readily. It is reforming again tonight, so perhaps tomorrow morning we're going to have a similar setup with a lot of mist and low cloud. But this was St Brelade from earlier today. Beautiful blue sky. Look how clear the horizon is. But we are already now seeing some of that low cloud begin to reappear, and it means a cloudy second half of the night and a misty start to the day tomorrow. Some sunshine and generally light winds is the story. High pressure is pretty much in the same place as it was this time last night. It is weakening a little bit, and eventually these weather fronts out to the west will make progress towards us. This is Saturday, not really a great deal of change for us. By Sunday, it's a little bit closer, perhaps a bit more in the way of cloud arriving overnight Sunday night into Monday. But by the time that weather front gets to us, it's a very weak affair. Close by on Monday, but hardly any change in our weather pattern with a brief ridge of high pressure. So here comes that cloud. It's already started to reform. It's coming in overnight tonight, misty in places too. 3 or 4 the minimum temperature. And tomorrow's forecast has that low cloud lifting to sunny spells into the afternoon, and temperatures still struggling a bit with that southeast wind. 6 or 7 the best we can expect for tomorrow. Times of high water, Sark, that's at 8:44 and 21:09, and the winds are very similar to today. Southeast, no more than a force 2 to 3. Bit of mist around the coast especially, generally good visibility, but poor where it is quite misty. So the forecast for Saturday and Sunday, quite a cold feel to the day on Saturday, bit more of a breeze on Sunday, slightly higher temperatures. Into next week, the first half of the week looks quite promising, and there is more of a breeze around as well, then going downhill from Wednesday night onwards. Have a nice evening. Charlie.
We'll have to wait until the other end of next week to find out what the second half of the week is like. David, thank you very much. Right, that is it for the time being. Of course, you can join me for our late bulletin, as always, at 10:30. I'll say goodbye for now and say hello to Victoria.
Well, thank you for joining us this evening. And next tonight, the family of Barnaby Webber from Taunton, who was killed in a stabbing attack in Nottingham in 2023, have made their first donation through the charity they set up in his name. They decided to award it to teenager Isla Grist, who has a rare skin condition and was in need of a new wheelchair. Over Christmas, the Webber family visited Isla and invited our reporter Tim Muffet along.
A warm welcome to the Highlands.
Oh my goodness, it's so lovely to see you.
To a home filled with love. The home of the inspirational Isla Grist. Paying a New Year's visit, David and Emma Webber, who have come to see how money raised by the foundation set up in memory of their son Barnaby is transforming 16-year-old Isla's life.
So cool.
Why did you decide for me to benefit from the Barnaby Webber Foundation?
That's a really good question. I think that somehow you decided it for us, because everything that that you have to go through, but also your bravery and all the challenges, I think it just sums up what we've put into Barnaby's foundation.
Isla's challenges are immense. She was born with the rare genetic disorder epidermolysis bullosa, or EB as it's known. It damages Isla's organs, her development, and in particular her skin. Blisters inside and outside Isla's body mean she's in constant pain. In 2023, Barnaby Webber, a student at Nottingham University, was one of 3 people killed by Valdo Calacane. The family set up a foundation in Barnaby's honour to support young people facing life challenges.
We would like to make our very first donation, an award, if that's the right word, to you.
Oh, thank you.
Because you're so special. I think you're so brave.
Anything comes to mind?
Maybe a wheelchair that you can lift and put in a car. Because my
What do you mean
one,
lift?
like an electric wheelchair that's not heavy.
And here it is. Paid for by the Barnaby Webber Foundation and the charity Deborah. There's a message from Barnaby's brother, Charlie.
Hey Isla, so sorry I can't be there to see you. I'm so pleased you're happy with your new chair, and it means a lot to us that we can do anything to help you. Hope to see you soon.
Hi Charlie, this is my wheelchair and thank you very much.
2 families who know full well how challenging life can be. But Isla, whose strength and determination has inspired so many, will this year be more independent than ever.
Tim Muffet with that report there. Now, you may remember about a week ago we met Johnny Huntington from Kingsbridge, who became the first person with a disability to get to the South Pole solo and unsupported. Remember, we chatted with him. Well, now a dentist from Cornwall, nicknamed the Molar Explorer, is celebrating reaching the South Pole solo and unsupported as well. Kat Burford from Caherlan skied more than 700 miles across Antarctica to complete the challenge, becoming only the 13th woman to do so. Well, Kat has been speaking to Tamsin Melville from her tent in Antarctica, where she's now waiting to fly home.
The moment a dentist from Cornwall fulfills a lifelong dream. 44-year-old Kat Burford took 53 days to ski the 704 miles from the edge of the Antarctic continent to the South Pole.
Yes, I've made it. I got here about 8:30, 8:40 or something this evening.
Now she's having a very well-earned rest in relative luxury.
I'm in a tent in a very windy Union Glacier in Antarctica.
Complete whiteout all day, as in absolutely couldn't see anything, no horizon.
Kat posted updates as she went along, uphill all the way and pulling everything she needed behind her.
Within a few days of setting off, there'd been some unusual kind of snow conditions. So the snow was really deep and I had 100-kilo pulk that was just sinking. So I had to kind of ration my food from the start to make sure that I'd have enough and then had a bit of a fuel spill as well. So that was something else that I had to kind of ration. So I went without hot food for quite a while.
And it turns out Cornwall is the perfect training ground for budding polar adventurers.
Not only have you got the kind of the ups and downs of the cliffs, because the whole of the expedition is uphill, and the snow conditions change from being soft, kind of hard, and I live near Guernsey and the big long sandy beach, and that was just perfect.
Kat's inspiration was her geography teacher, Alison Taylor, who passed away a few years ago.
I can't tell you how many times I kind of drew on that, like that energy when I was feeling like it was really tough. Brought her along with me, and when we got to the pole, we had a little moment. So.
And Kat hopes to inspire other women and is working with the University of Exeter on women's health and endurance sports.
Certainly when it comes to the South Pole, it's very much a male-dominated environment. But now the women are really smashing it, and it's fantastic to see. But there's a long way to go to kind of break down some of the other barriers.
Along with her husband and friends, there's something in particular Kat has missed.
Cup of tea. When you're on expedition, a tea bag weighs more when you've used it than when you don't. So I've missed that.
Brilliant stuff. And by the way, if you have any positive or inspirational stories to tell, do give us an email, spotlight@bbc.co.uk. Now, how about this for a cracking story? A woman from Devon has found a perfectly round chicken egg that experts say is extremely rare. She's putting the medium-sized brown egg up for auction after being told it may well be a collector's item. A round egg found in Berkshire sold for £200. So to see what all the fuss is about, we scrambled reporter Johnny Rutherford to the breaking story.
There are 14 million eggs processed here a year at Fenton Farm, and out of that 14 million, they find one egg that's a little bit unusual. In fact, it's almost round, not quite as round as, say, a golf ball, but I tell you what, it's pretty unique. In fact, they say that it's probably 1 in a billion. That's pretty rare.
As you can see, they roll along the conveyor belt and an egg rolls in a certain way.
And so the round egg came into the spotlight.
What do you think anybody would want with a round egg?
I have no idea, but it's something that nobody else has got. Elon Musk hasn't got a round egg, has he?
But Alison doesn't know where it came from, as Fenton Farm collect their eggs from various free-range farms across the southwest.
All right, you've heard about the goose with the golden egg. Which one of you chickens laid the round egg? Was it you? How about you?
Alison is auctioning the egg on the 18th of February in Exeter to raise cash for the charity Devon Rape Crisis.
Hopefully it will sell for a lot of money.
Spherical chicken eggs are quite unusual, and there have been people who have paid, sort of north of 100 and sometimes £200 for them, just because it's an unusual thing.
Who's going to buy an egg? Because it'll go out of date, won't it?
It will go out of date, so I would imagine it will have to be blown, where the yolk will be removed from it. I don't know how you do that, but that would be something. And then just put on a plinth, because there aren't many people in the world that have a round egg.
They're hoping that this egg will actually raise quite a lot of money for charity. Only joking. This one is actually for my lunch. Johnny Rutherford, BBC Spotlight, Fenton Farm, near Wellington. Do you think we can get this cooked?
I have to say, my heart went into my mouth though when he dropped that egg. I thought, oh, Johnny, what have you done? Oh, dear. Anyway, let's have some calmer times now and hand to David with the weather.
Still quiet, which is good news. Thank you, Victoria. Hello, good evening. And we've had some mist and fog in places. We've also had a bit of sunshine in places too. It looks like we're going to continue to see a bit of a mixture. There will be some mist and fog overnight tonight, and there will also be some fine weather to look forward to tomorrow. So let me show you some of our other Weather Watchers pictures from today. This is on the North Somerset coast, Kilve, beautiful blue sky and very quiet seas in the Bristol Channel. But this was Budleigh Salterton on the other coast, the south coast of Devon. Very murky and misty this morning. So we tried to find you some sunshine. This is Cholmondeley in mid-Devon, where, yes, the blue sky shone and it was a lovely day, but sunshine here. And actually, when the sun comes out, even though we're still in the middle of January, it actually feels quite pleasant. Just a little bit of warmth now beginning to take effect. But it is another cold night to come tonight. and is a night with a real mixture. Some of us will see clear skies and fairly low temperatures. Others will see the low cloud and the mist and fog. And for most, I think that's going to be the case. There will be some sunshine again tomorrow, a bit patchy in nature. Some of us will stay grey. Others will get a bit of that blue sky for a short while. And the main weather system still remains out to the west of us, very slow-moving frontal systems that will drift gradually closer and closer as we head into the weekend. But it's the second half of the weekend we will eventually see this, which is cloud and patchy rain beginning to move towards us, but it'll take its time getting here. Just ahead of it, for Saturday at least, Friday, tomorrow and Saturday, we get slightly colder air coming our way. But by the time this weather front comes in on Sunday with a more southerly wind, we'll find the temperatures rise. So you just see a hint of blue as that colder air just sticks over us for the weekend, not particularly warm. But on Sunday and more especially Monday, those temperatures do recover back up into double figures. Patchy cloud around tonight will clear for a time, but then reform into mist, fog and low cloud by the morning. Minimum temperatures round about 0 in a few places where the skies are clear. Where we keep the cloud, 4, 5, 6 degrees will be the minimum temperature. Very light wind, so nothing moving too fast for tomorrow. And there may well be lots of low cloud around in the morning, which will gradually break to allow sunny spells. And it could well be similar locations. It might be mid and North Devon, the North Somerset coast might see more in the way of sunshine compared to other areas. The south coast, for instance, could remain rather grey for a large part of the day. These are our temperatures. They're a little bit down compared to how we started the week. 7 to 10 degrees, the maximum for tomorrow. For the Isles of Scilly here, dry but rather cloudy with a southeast wind that'll be light. These are the times of high water. For Falmouth, 7:17, Bideford 7:59 and Plymouth 7:51 tomorrow morning. Winds are generally from the southeast, although they will be light and variable at first. Generally fair with good visibility. Smaller waves than yesterday, but still good surf. North and south coast will have waves. Best of the waves probably on the north coast here, 4 to 5 feet. So let's look at the outlook for the weekend. Yes, we're going to see more cloud around. It could be on Saturday after a very misty start. We'll get some more in the way of sunshine. Sunday generally cloudy with a bit of drizzle arriving late in the day. And that could be around on Monday too, but at least the temperatures recover by the time we get to Monday. Have a nice evening. Victoria.
Thank you, David. Cheryl, I'm liking your style already, those inspirational stories coming in. Spotlight at bbc.co.uk. Thank you for joining us this evening. Hope you can join us again tomorrow. Good night.